So what's going on, guys? This is the Dispensary Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Kwan, the founder of Cannabud Marketing, the #1 marketing agency for cannabis dispensaries. Or, we're almost there. Won't claim that title yet, but we're almost there.
Soon,
we have the mysterious voice Igor in the background. You can't see his face. And then we have Brett over here, both key members, I would say the pioneers of Heed. But I'll let them take it away and let them start, kind of telling us a little bit about themselves first, and then they'll talk about Heed and, what they have going on with that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, Igor, I guess I can start us off. So, introduced as Brett. I'm from London, Ontario. I went to Western University. I actually ended up dropping out in 4th year after taking on the role of a co-founder at Heed. I was studying philosophy as my major, and I was minoring in computer science. So those two disciplines actually crossed over quite a bit, and it was very interesting studying both. So that's essentially my academia background. And myself, I love just building startups. I love failing startups. I love just absolutely learning, reading, sports, everything that a normal guy likes. So, that pretty much sums up me. So when I'm not grinding and trying to think of new ways to create value in industries, you can probably catch me, listening to music or playing soccer with Igor over here.
Sweet. Igor, what about you?
Pretty good intro, Brad. I don't even have that much written down. So my name is Igor Tasic. I'm 20 years old, and I also did drop out of the University of Western. I was studying business, and I did a little bit of computer science courses. So I dropped out when the demand of Heed increased. I am one of the co-founders of Heed, and I work on the sales side, connecting partners with our product. And so that's kind of my role here at Heed. Getting the name out there, trying to build the brand, just really going one day by day, taking step by step. But that's about it.
Sweet. Awesome. So, you guys both, kind of took Heed over, kind of schooling and your traditional education and stuff like that. So that means like Heed must be a pretty awesome something, right? To make you guys do that. So why don't you go ahead and kind of tell me a little bit about Heed, all that stuff, how you guys got together, how it's founded, and then we can chat about a little bit what it does after.
Okay. So I originally had the idea in January 2020. I got accepted into an accelerator program at Western University. So they gave me $15,000 non-equitable funding, which was great. So they were giving me stipends monthly. I got to learn a lot from that program, and they connected me with some leaders in our city that have done the whole shebang. So that's really what started it off. My initial idea was to be able to market and advertise cannabis products through conversational channels. So what that means is you can go ahead and find and discover products through WhatsApp, through SMS, through Facebook Messenger, and it's all powered by an AI bot. So it's not your traditional AI bot. There's a really, really intuitive UI experience, and the UX is great. So it was kind of a new way, almost a hybrid chatbot. So, I had the idea January 2020, completed this program, figured that, I think it would be best to bring on a few other founders. So I previously knew Igor, and he previously knew our other co-founder, and we were able to come together and devote time over that summer and really push the product to new heights. We iterated obviously a lot and pivoted products, seeing what works and what doesn't. And, we came to the conclusion on a very robust and concise product just this past summer, and we were able to grow dramatically. So.
Sweet. That's awesome. So when you guys, kind of first started, obviously there's that whole stigma around cannabis and, associations with cannabis, weed, marijuana, and all that stuff. So were you guys kind of like, was there any hesitation to start this, or were you guys like pro cannabis as soon as it legalized? Kind of what was that thought process when starting this business when you first started?
Well, I'll answer this first. So I definitely go against the grain. I've never been scared really to do anything. I'm a big risk taker. So I didn't even think twice. If it was legal, if it was illegal, I would have built this. I think legal just gave us a much better way to make some money and make some partners and really develop this idea and validate ourselves. So I was a pro cannabis, user for many years, smoked in high school. I stopped for a while just when I got into university, and I've actually been able to recreationally use it again recently, and it's been great. I just like to go through different stints of quitting and indulging, and it's been nice going like that. So yeah.
Nice. I mean, yeah, honestly,
Nice.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Igor. The mysterious voice for everyone, if you forgot.
I'm just kind of like on the wall right now, absorbing. Yeah, so I mean, in terms of your question there, I think I didn't know what value we could provide off the bat. Seeing as if we were doing the cannabis space and we were initially on Facebook, definitely a bit tricky just because stuff like that. So doubts at some times where I was just like, oh wow, like is this gonna work? Like, all right, we keep getting flagged, like messages are not being sent, that sort of stuff. And these ad campaigns weren't really working too successfully. But yeah, no, I mean, I think we did it great, more robust, and it's been successful so far. But yeah, I think that was it was a necessary learning curve for us, I believe.
So the first iteration of Heed was actually on Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, it was like it was a chat that you could access. It was called Heed, or it might have been Hello Heed, I can't remember. And essentially it was just like a little web page that you could kind of like message, and then you could communicate with it, and then it would basically just navigate you through the cannabis journey, and it would provide you a recommendation. And that was our very first application.
Oh, sweet. Okay. So then how did that? I was always under the impression, maybe should have just done some more research. I was under the impression that, your MVP was like a standalone kind of widget. And then you obviously iterated on that process. So what was that transition like? So did you go from proof of concept, get some funding and do that? Or were you completely bootstrapped to the widget and then you got funding? Like how did that whole process work?
Yeah. So we've always been bootstrapped. We had some internal investments, which were great.
Nice.
And, we found out fast after developing and going to market with this Facebook Messenger application that the customer acquisition cost was way too high and it was not feasible for our business. So we transitioned rather quickly and very briefly, and we were able to essentially design our own version of the Facebook Messenger app that we developed. So, it's funny because actually before and at the start of designing the Facebook Messenger application, we all talked amongst ourselves, explaining, this actually could be a better way, talking about the widget, but we strayed away. And we didn't touch that for about 8 months. So that was about an 8-month window where we could have been yay much farther ahead of ourselves now. But I mean, that was definitely a necessary learning curve, like Igor said. And, I'm glad that we learned that. And I'm glad we made those mistakes because it just made us better.
Nice. Well, I mean, look, for me too, there's always like hindsight's 2020, right? You can always look back and be like, hey, look, if I didn't do that, I would have chopped off 6 months of whatever I had to do. But, I think, when you look back at that as well, as long as you take that as a learning experience, that's kind of the loading bar, right? It's not that, hey, you could have been at 100 if you didn't do this and now you're at 70. It's more so like all of these things had to lead up to get to that 100, at the end of the day. So, I wouldn't beat myself, up too much about it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, talking about like the start about Heat and all that stuff. So did you guys start off in your local market? Did you start off in London to get that first customer? Cause like, I know you're working with, hundreds of dispensaries, if not thousands at this point, but that first customer, what did that look like? How did you acquire that customer? And, what's the growth been since then?
So our very first customer, which was, if I'm not mistaken, Two Cats Cannabis.
Okay. And they're located where?
They're located in downtown Toronto. Really great owners. They had a bar back in the 90s, also called Two Cats, and then they transitioned to the cannabis space because why not? It's awesome. So that was our very first customer, and it's really hard to remember exactly how I was doing our outbound sales strategy back then, but I believe I was just going on a DMing spree on Instagram, just DMing everyone. I was just trying to find non-traditional ways to actually get a hold of these guys because, obviously the biggest problem in our company is actually getting the stores to deploy our software. Like it's a mess. Each case is so different. There's always a huge bottleneck no matter who we talk to, right?
Yep.
So
well, we had that issue too, right? So.
Exactly. There's really no way around it. You just have to be persistent and kind of finesse your way through the whole sales journey with that customer. So
So are all of your, or a lot of your I guess dispensary acquisitions, are they now inbound and referrals? Like has that now transformed, or do you now have somebody doing the outbound and stuff like that?
So actually I would say it's probably now, just like in January, it's probably about 70 outbound, 30 inbound. And those are really just because our marketing strategies through email and through other platforms have really started to take off as we've grown lists and followers. Our Instagram is doing really good. Our Facebook has, I think, almost 3,000 likes now, which is great. And our LinkedIn presence is growing too. So it's just all of that combined has helped us, because before it was 0.1% was inbound. So everything was outbound, and we were calling like madmen. And
hey, you got to do what you got to do, right? Oh, that's sweet. That's sweet. So it looks like a lot of people are liking it. They're picking it up, providing lots of value. So, I guess I'll ask Igor this question is, okay, we're talking about Heed, blah, 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 all this stuff. Now, what exactly does Heed do? Like, how does that benefit the retailers, and how does it actually work?
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess the real benefit of Heed is having that sense of having a kind of like a bud tender assist you through the cannabis journey online. I would say that would be the overall kind of overarching value. Of course, it's not going to be perfect. Like, it's never going to replicate a real person, but it does very similar things. And that's really the tool that we envisioned to build. And I think we built it pretty successfully. But yeah, so I think in that case, that would be a good way of describing it. And the value, I guess, is just like taking away overhead from retailers, and then again, providing them with some sort of data, seeing what they're going on, see what their customers are buying is always good in turn.
Nice. So in a nutshell, it's essentially this widget that sits on top of whatever retailer's website. And then the customers can now come in and interact with this, and your, proprietary AI allows them to now have, again, not as good of a human interaction, but that AI interaction relieves some of the stress of the selling from the retailer, but then it allows those retailers to also sell more money with, quote unquote, not having to do anything. Is, that's pretty much, what it does, right?
Yeah.
Nice. And then, so, a lot of the comparisons that, off the top of my head is that, hey, it looks like just like a chat widget, right? It's just, kind of this thing. So, the AI portion is great. I also saw some, recommendations that it has as well. So, there again should be a lot of comparisons between, the chat widgets and what you guys do. If I was a retailer, I'd be like, hey, why should I get this, or why should I get you guys? What do you typically say to those guys?
Well, I'd say there's no other chat widgets that do it like us. We're essentially a conversational AI app in the form of a traditional widget that you would see on, your big flagship sites that are just a customer chat help.
Yeah.
So we're quite different. We have a very innovative UI, and our UX is essentially, this is how I describe it. We took the Facebook Messenger user experience and we combined it with Dutchie's UI. So Dutchie has a great UI. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Their experience, on the other hand, it's so-so. There's nothing that really screams at me to say use Dutchie other than it looks very pretty.
Yeah.
So, Facebook Messenger, obviously is hooking users. There's a very strong hook there. So, we took that user interface, we replicated it, and we pushed it into the cannabis industry. So when you're asking, if a dispensary says, why should I choose you over someone else? There's not another company in the world that is at least that's at market.
Yeah.
That is like us.
Yeah.
There's some recommendation engines, but there's nothing that combines a conversational AI app into the recommendations, into the education, into the brand awareness, fully customizable. Right now, we're totally free, and we've been free since launch, and we have no plans to actually sell this widget to retailers. So I mean, it's really a no-brainer, and I think that's why. Well, I know that's why we've been able to grow so fast, right? Hundreds and hundreds of dispensaries signed up. 1.5 million visits to the Heed widget. This almost the same amount of recommendations. So the numbers and the trajectory just keep growing. Just a huge hockey stick right now, which has been really pretty to look at.
Nice. So you mentioned that thing, it's free. So whoever's listening to this podcast right now, not only does it do all this AI stuff, it's also free. So I mean, just put it on your website right now, right?
Just throw it on there. If you don't like it, take it off.
Yeah. I'll do the pitch for you guys. Don't worry. I'll do this song. Be like, hey guys, if you're missing out, go get it on. Go get it on it. Give it a shot. Look, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But at least put it on the website first, and then give it a go. I know that's really, really awesome. So combined with the free and the value, I think that's honestly ridiculous.
So I think, like, to Brett's point, I think another big value add we have here is that we are like a no contract obligation, meaning that like there's nothing keeping you or trapping you into this. If you don't like it, we always encourage feedback. So like, and the best way that we improve, in my opinion, is when people actually remove the widget and they let us know like what's going on, like why don't they like it, they don't like the size of this, they don't like the color of this, that sort of things. Like those are all things that we like kind of take and then build, and then we kind of spin back and then say, hey, this is how it works. And so that's the best way to grow a relationship, I think. And I think that's another big thing.
Yeah. Always iterating on user feedback. We like to do some good UX research, and
So do you guys have anything kind of coming down the pipeline in terms of, new features, new capabilities, additional services that are kind of adjacent to what you guys are doing? What does the next kind of short term, I would say, 6 to 12 months for Heed look like? And then, over the next 2 to 5 years look like? What's kind of like your overall journey, or trying to do it anyways?
Yeah. So I think 6 to 12 months, I'd like to see 500 dispensaries using our e-commerce. And I know that's completely different than the widget, but we have been silently building a beautiful e-com platform that is going to hit home on everything that's wrong with the current providers for pennies on the dollar.
Wow.
So we're getting ready to unveil that in the next few weeks and test deploy with a number of our current partners now. And we're really, really excited. So, not only that, the widget is going to be completely revamped in the next few months. It's going to pop up at different sections of the user journey through ecom. If they're at the checkout, the widget will pop up again with recommendations based on that product that you have in your cart. Or nice. if loyalty at the end of the checkout, loyalty will pop up in Heed. At the beginning, Heed will pop up and you can sign in. The widget will just be this perfect little add-on to the ecom. But obviously, once our ecom is released, these very pro features on the widget will only be available if you're using us for ecom, which is fine. But smart. Our current partners that are using our current widget, they can just keep using that widget and getting the benefit from that. So, we definitely have a very long technical roadmap ahead of us, and we're more than capable of completing them. And, we're really excited.
Sweet. So, do you want to talk about this e-commerce platform, or do we need to taper it off for a little bit?
Well, are we allowed to reveal our secrets, Brett?
I mean, hey, I'm not forcing you, but if you want to give an exclusive right now, you can.
Well, I won't go too much into the details because we do have a couple strategies that will be coming out soon that we'll talk more. But let's just say there's a few things that Dutchie, Jane and Buddy do incorrectly. And it's something that we've been, really pressing hard on. Nice. So I'll give you a quick background, which will make a lot of sense as to why the widget is free. So, we thought about 6 months ago, obviously the big value is in e-com.
Yep.
We realized that a lot of the e-com providers weren't hitting home when it came to, product discovery and really helping that core user. And the user shouldn't be the retailer always. The user should be the cannabis consumer. So we realized that they were being neglected in a lot of use cases. So that's where the creation of the product discovery widget came. So we use the widget almost as a Trojan horse to secretly deploy to all these retailers' e-com menus without directly competing with e-com.
Yeah.
Or like a non-direct competitor.
Yeah.
And we've been able to learn so many problems over the past 6 to 8 months that now in the back burner, we've been able to design all these cool software solutions and push them out when the time is right. So it's just, we've been able to build really, really good relationships and learn so much. And, the Trojan horse effect has been extremely valuable to us. And I think, that's really why we're here right now. So.
Oh man, it's all about value, right? We were talking about before on this call. It's an exchange of value, right? Like if you can provide value to these people for something that's truly valuable, not like, hey, get this random thing for whatever it is and pay $5. It's like, no, I'm giving you something for free that will make you, give you infinite ROI because it's technically free, right? Yeah. So, I think that's a really, really awesome idea. And I'm super excited to hear about it. We'll schedule another podcast, later on. I'll be like, yo, you guys are absolutely killing it. Buddy and Dutchie and I Heart Jane that, they're writing articles about how upset they are at you. Don't
get us wrong. We're still friends with them. We want to, but at the same time, they know what they're not doing right. Yeah. And at the end of the day, we want to solve them.
Yeah, that's sweet. Igor, do you have anything else to touch on? Like, again, I don't want to push for any secrets, but I don't know if you had any additional insights on this super secret project that you guys have.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think what Brett spoke about was 100% right. I can see how the way that we kind of built Heed was exactly what he mentioned, was that Trojan horse. And so essentially we kind of offloaded this product and we gave it up for free. And then in exchange, we scaled and then gained a lot of networks and connections. And then from there, we took the networks and connections that we had, and then we got some feedback on what their experience was working with these e-com providers. And then we kind of combined all that sort of stuff, compiled a list. And then they gave us their biggest pain points. And then we were able to take those and then kind of put those in towards development. So yeah, I think that was definitely, it was good on our part for that. Getting that one-to-one kind of feedback. But yeah, no, I definitely think the e-com will do its own thing, and it'll be a good product to have under our belt, I guess you could say.
Sweet. That's awesome. Again, I'm super excited to hear about this. Big fan of kind of your widget that you have going on right now. So, I'll take a look at the e-commerce platform you have, and I'm sure it'll do really, really well. So I guess my next thing is, so we've been talking about all the good things that's been going on, the growth, customer acquisition, all these different things. Now let's get into kind of the challenges, right? So, with any journey, there are bumps in the road, there's mountains and hills that you need to climb over the course of how even before the infancy, I guess, of the project, kind of what were the biggest challenges that you guys faced in order to kind of get to where you are right now?
Yeah.
I'll answer this one. So if we take a step back and we kind of rewind the tape towards the Facebook Messenger one, I think the biggest issue with that was just people were not comfortable shopping for cannabis through Facebook Messenger. And not that conversational commerce doesn't work. It's just something that's a little bit newer and less familiar. And so there were at times where people were just like, hey, what is this? Like, why I'm messaging something, I want to buy cannabis now. Like, yeah. And so it wasn't like the most familiar, I guess you could say, technology. So we kind of moved away from that. So I guess that was the biggest barrier there, just people not understanding what it was completely. But then in terms of the widget, I think the biggest pain point for us is, again, having that ability to deploy the widget I know Brett spoke about it earlier, but yeah, it is a shambles every time. There's always some sort of hiccups that go on, but yeah, no, that is the biggest pain point in my opinion.
Then I'll touch on that too. I think really, for me at least, it's just staying on top of everything as such a super small team and having such large roadmaps.
Yeah. Sometimes
get a bit claustrophobic with the tasks and the sprints at hand.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, hey, look, it's in the scaling up phase of everything, especially when you're super lean, just managing, wearing all the hats and doing all these different tasks. It's a huge thing to overcome.
Emphasis on being lean, because we were lean for very long.
Yeah.
It was hard.
Are you, so on my end, in terms of the stuff that I have, so if I'm managing whatever, X amount of clients, and then those clients then have like 5 different dispensaries, each of those dispensaries then require me or my team to do different things. So I started utilizing like project management softwares and things like that. I don't know if you're aware, like ClickUp, Asana, all these different things, integrating them with everything. Is that what you guys are doing right now to kind of overcome this like issue with scalability and manual work? Like, how are you guys doing that right now?
I mean, our best friend is Google, right? Just the Sentence, G Suite, Sheets, Docs, always will be your best friend. But on the other hand, sometimes you need those more robust solutions. So our main two are obviously Asana, and HubSpot.
And HubSpot. Oh, interesting. Okay, so you use Asana.
So for the CRM, we use HubSpot until we just made our own in-house CRM. So we just have that.
Well, I mean, like if you have the expertise, you can go ahead and just kind of build any in-house solution you want.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
That's sweet. So let me see, what else do I have? So okay, so this is a heavy hitter question. So giving you the praise that you will, as the leaders, as I would say, aside from obviously the big corporations and stuff like that, I don't really see, or at least in my kind of media, a lot of co-founders that are kind of doing what you're doing in the SaaS space. Like realistically, it's people using, if it's a chat widget, it's like they're using a Zendesk or a Tidio chat or whatever it is. Their online stuff, the SaaS in that end, it's still building out websites. It's WordPress, Squarespace, Wix, Weebly. But specifically for cannabis, other than, kind of the Dutchies and the Buddies and the online ordering system, I feel like you guys are the only guys kind of doing what you're doing, to your point of what you mentioned earlier. Are you seeing anything in your sphere about kind of what might be popping up, not necessarily competitors, or about what anybody else is doing, or if you're excited about anything else coming out, except from your own stuff, obviously?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing that I just saw a couple of days ago was, Dutchie Pay. But I mean, that's still Dutchie, right? Yeah. I'm not really seeing too many smaller startups with any very innovative ideas.
Yeah.
There's a lot. They're more or less just companies, startups that have been in other industries doing something cool, and then they're transitioning to cannabis. But I think really the payment side of things really can take a lot of innovation this year, and I think whoever can hit home on that is going to become very successful.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. The pay.
Yeah,
riddled with compliance and regulation.
Exactly.
That's a beast. That's not just building out a software and letting it work. No. It's like making sure it's complying with everything. Yeah. And if you can do it, you're right. I feel like that is a moneymaker, but I'm just thinking about all the issues that I feel like are less technical issues and more like just written legal things that you need to get done. So
you're fighting Big Brother at that point.
Yeah, like actually it's not, that doesn't seem like something, I kind of want to take on. One thing that's been interesting in, has been,
it's all good.
It's been a long year.
Yes, it has. The year has just begun, and I'm already fumbling around my words.
That's okay.
One thing that I'm paying a lot of attention to is like loyalty, right?
Yes.
One of the things that I'm looking at, that I'm noticing with a lot of people that I'm working at is, a lot of people are looking at just the sale itself, right? And even with your widget, it's like, how can we get that one sale? How can we get that one sale? But loyalty is like huge, right? When you ask any dispensary owner about where their sales come from, is it new customers or repeat customers? All of them say repeat customers, right? Mm-hmm. If that's the case, why not ensure you have a more robust loyalty strategy? Because these people are going to keep coming back in. And I tell this to dispensary owners all the time, that your, whatever it is, let's say you sell $50 as your average cart size. Like one customer isn't worth $50. That customer is worth $50 times the amount of times that they're going to come and purchase for the rest of their life. So there's a study that I saw on Starbucks lifetime customers, actually $14,000. And,
Wow.
you know, they're buying maybe a $2 cup of coffee, but for the most part, probably an $8 to $12 cup of coffee. But that's a lot of caffeine, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot of caffeine that you need to hit $14,000, right?
Holy
So the
shit.
loyalty aspect is something that I kind of, you know, I'm really interested in terms of like, how do we leverage loyalty to help better dispensaries and retailers and all that stuff? And, you know, my head automatically goes to kind of what you guys are doing in the SaaS space is like, do you guys have any plans on, you know, I know you have the e-commerce thing going on, but transitioning into how you can make customers more loyal and trying to figure out how that might work for people? Like, is that in the pipeline at all for any of you?
100%. So yeah, let's be straight up. We're in talks with every loyalty program. They all love us. They see the numbers. They want to partner up. We haven't, and we haven't pushed anything to paper. So we're still very much single, and we really just want to continue making everything in-house. So we have something in the back burner as well for loyalty. And, you know, I think the main touch point that every loyalty software or retailer needs to think of is conversational AI. So, you know, stemming back from our original product, this is where conversational AI flourishes in loyalty. So, you know, let's go find and let's go retarget our existing and loving customers through the channels that they use all day. They're always texting their friends, they're always Facebook messaging their friends, they're always WhatsApping their friends, right? So let's greet them there, right? So if these loyalty software companies, you know them, if they can create this type of target and this type of campaign, they will be very successful. Mm-hmm. That is the way that it works, right? Yeah. People don't want to be downloading another app. If I see a loyalty company saying download this app, I'm literally disgusted. Yeah. It's 2022. I'm not touching another app on my phone.
Yeah.
Like, make it a web app or nothing, right?
Yeah.
So if it's an iOS app, it's got to be me using it all the time. If it's just on my phone. Or give some monetary value, which I guess.
Yeah. To Brett's point, like I really agree with that. I do like the idea of having very minimal barriers, and then obviously downloading an app is that's just too old school for that, you know. Mm-hmm. So I do think to go back to one of our points here about one of the real value adds we have is that, again, we have very minimal barriers in our uses for our product. So what I mean by that is, like, we don't require anybody to put in their phone number, their email, their names, nothing like that. And we use competitor widgets. Personally, I think, like, just naturally here, I don't think a lot of people at the company or even maybe you specifically agree with this, but it's not the best UX, I would say. So it is something that we're looking at, like, exploring, just kind of having maybe create a loyalty program within the widget. Maybe we tie it in with the retailers, but it is something that's definitely on our mind, and we definitely want people to keep using Heat. But in that case, it's gonna require some work.
Yeah, like I was having a conversation with another owner, and like exactly that, right? Downloading that app, it's like, what the hell, right? Like, I don't want to do this. It's friction, right? Your conversions are automatically lost with, okay, you're gonna get 1 out of 100 people who are like, hey, let's download this app, and the issue is that, like, it doesn't sync with the person's phone number or their email. So when I come in, I want to go in and be like, hey, I purchased this product. How many points do I have left? Okay, it's sweet. But from what I originally thought that was a no-brainer. I was like, look, like, just connect it with their phone number, and whenever they come in and buy anything, that's your loyalty, right? They'll keep coming back in and redeeming that. But apparently that's not the case. Apparently, for some reason, it's completely separate, and they have these random coins that they need to associate with the purchase, and then if they're ordering online in the online ordering menu, they have to, like, go. It's like the most cumbersome thing, and it's like, why at that point? Yeah,
it's madness, and it's these companies don't want to take bigger risks to really push the gray areas. And I think someone like Heed, a smaller company, can make the right stepping stones and pull something off.
I'm super excited. I should maybe get your guys' autographs right now before you become, super high founders and stuff like that. But always remember, on the Dispensary Marketing Podcast, you were episode 1, so I can always look back at the good times before you forget about stuff like that. So
Yeah.
but that's super awesome. So yeah, we're kind of tapering off. Don't have too many more questions after this, but in terms of, what you guys have seen, you guys are talking about how you have a lot of data points. You've been networking with a lot of people. And I think when you're in the trenches, when you're actually with the people who are making the decisions and doing the day-to-day things, you can see what, data can't necessarily tell you, right? Having conversations with people truly allow you to be like, oh, this is an issue that's popping up. Let me see what I can do with this. And, how can I solve this? And, and doing that, you won't see that from Google Analytics and views and stuff like that. You don't see kind of like issues of what people are having. So from all of your experience talking with all these different dispensaries, aside from some of the obvious SaaS, problems that you are now solving with Heed, what kind of issues or what would you say to dispensary owners in terms of, hey, a lot of these dispensary owners are super successful, they're all doing kind of this similar thing? Or are you seeing, hey, a lot of these dispensary owners are struggling? What do you also see in terms of that? So however way you kind of want to answer the question, what are dispensary owners both doing well or not so well in your opinion?
Igor, do you want me to take this?
I'll answer one half of the question.
Okay.
In terms of the not so well, I do think some areas of improvement that retailers could make is striving for a better SEO. I do think some smaller retailers that we are partners with do definitely need some help on that end. Because again, like if you're not on the first page of Google, you're not anywhere.
Yep.
And I think it's one of the most important things, just like getting your brand out there, investing in that online presence, and like really building that online real estate. And then of course I think that will naturally bring in some more, will just make a better experience for your customers, and hopefully they keep coming back to your shop. But yeah, that's my 2 cents there.
Yeah. My unbiased opinion, I completely agree with you. For whoever's listening, you don't know, that's exactly what we do. We do SEO, web design, all that fun stuff. So if you need that, hit me up.
No, 100%. No, you guys do a great job.
Thank you.
No, we're thrilled to know you, honestly, because that's one thing that we want to continue to learn and get better at is SEO optimization. Obviously, as we build out and launch our e-com, that's very important to us. So just want to touch on that. So Igor, yeah, you touched on the struggling, and then obviously there's the retailers that do well. So how do we as salesmen, how do we get those successful retailers to join our board, right? So I think it really comes down to something that they know, but they don't see it as a problem, which is differentiating their online menu. So don't get me wrong. The e-commerce providers right now, they work great. There's no problem about that. No one's going to have a difficult time purchasing a product off Dutchie. It is way too easy. On the other hand, I think these retailers need to really push out their brand. And I think that's what's going to really drive a loyal customer to come back. So not only with the loyalty program that builds strategies on how to actually turn these first-time buyers into recurring revenue, I think that the brand needs to be so powerful. And I'm a big brand guy. I think brand is the number one thing. You could sell anything if there's a brand. It doesn't matter what it's made of, how much it costs, how much you paid. So I think a differentiator for retailers' online menus is very key to success. And I think that's why, and on the other hand, it is upsetting to a lot of these retailers that they don't have full customizabilities.
Yeah.
So I actually want to touch base into one more thing with our e-com. So we're actually also giving out our menu API for the same price. So right now, for instance, Dutchie is charging double $500 to $600 for their open menu API, where you could hire a developer and he can make you your front end menu, but still use Dutchie's fulfillment, processing, and their dashboard. So we're doing that for the same price because we really think that retailers should have the decision to choose. Maybe they use our embedded menu for 6 months, and then on the 7th month they say, we want something different, more in-house. So they can just switch over to our API, same price, and just have something totally new. So that's the last thing that I think it's a big fix to the problem.
Yeah. I mean, that's, and again, it's these kind of smaller things that, what I've found with these kind of owner retailers, operators, a lot of their focus is on the in-store thing, right? How can I move around my shelves to do this? How can I position my inventory to look like this? And then when it comes to the online thing, it's like, hey, okay, I'm going to spend $200, put this up here, boom, boom, boom. And then as long as I have a menu, it's good to go. But then I have a conversation with them and I ask them, I'm like, look, aside from the small businesses, the local stores, your brick and mortars that you go to all the time, whenever you go to a new restaurant, how do you find that new restaurant? You go online first, you go to Google, you go look at the reviews, then you go to the website and you're like, oh, okay, this is the restaurant for me. And then you go into the store, because people find your location online first and then they go into your store afterwards. It doesn't work the opposite way around. Sure, you're going to have some foot traffic, but 80, 90, 95% of the people who are going to find your business are going to find you online first. Whether or not they purchase it from your online menu, it doesn't matter. They're going to find you online first and then they're going to purchase. But in order to make that conversion happen properly, you need to make sure you have a good online presence and that brand that resonates with the customers who then purchase and then are going to come in. So, again, that's kind of like my 2 cents rant on that. And you're completely on that. Retailers who know of that are knocking it out the park, at least, in 100%. My perspective.
I've seen way too many small independents that their online presence is awful. And I feel so bad for them because there's just no barriers for a user to find your business online. So you need to be very careful on how you represent yourself.
Yeah. That's definitely a huge, there's a lot of talk about, I'm going to put up a billboard and I'm only putting up a billboard because I can see it. It's tangible. I'm like, look, when's the last time you looked at a billboard? Nevertheless, took action on a billboard you saw, right? So it's like, go ahead, spend $10,000 for the billboard and let it take 2 months for you to get the graphics. And then you go pay the graphic designer to blow it up to make sure you have the good enough file size. Anyways, that's a super, super long rant that I have. And I'm like, look, as biased as I am talking about digital marketing, the ROI, there's no greater ROI than ranking higher on Google and doing all these different things, because that's where people find you, right? And that's 100%. The value that I think what happens, find you on Google, use your software to get those conversions, whether it's through the widget or your new online ordering menu system, and then you're good to go. Make sure your loyalty is good. And I think that's a huge portion of what people need to do, right? Good products, good pricing, good customer service, and good buying experience. Those are my 4 loyalty kind of foundations for retailers. And if they can hit those 4 things, then you can start focusing on, a bunch of other stuff that may or may not matter down the line. So super important thing. So last question is that, you guys have said a lot of really good things. I think this will help a lot of retailers just have a better idea of how they need to structure things, at least in the online sense. So any kind of last nuggets that you want to tell the audience, whether it's a retailer or not, maybe it's an up and coming cannabis SaaS startup that you want to say, hey, I went through all these troubles, make sure you do this. Anything you want to say?
Yeah, go ahead, Brett.
I've been kind of stealing the spotlight. I love the thought.
It's okay.
I think for retailers, the last nugget would be come chat with us. There's no reason why every dispensary shouldn't be using Heed. It's really a no-brainer. So if you see this, we will make your life a lot easier. And for any other startups that are coming along, there's only one piece of advice that I always give. It is iterate as fast as possible and launch your MVP as soon as you can. So I guess 2, but they intertwine. They're like an infinity.
Yeah. Got to get that proof of concept out.
Yeah. No, I definitely like those 2 points. For me, I would say the biggest thing is just absorb, just try to consume as much information as you can. No matter who it comes from a customer, take it down. It comes from a retailer, take it down. It comes from this podcast, take it down. And really just kind of pick at the things that you like and then kind of build from that. And I just really think everybody can be useful. And I think there's no need to just kind of block off people that who you might even end up working with later down the road. So, you know, it's always important just to keep on top of those things and just absorb.
Nice. Networking opportunities, brand building. A lot of people talk about, is this B2B? Is this B2C? I'm like, look, at the end of the day, whatever deal you're closing, you're talking to another person on the other side. So, you know, making sure sure, you may not get along. It might be a competitor, but don't, start burning bridges and, doing all these different things, right? Having good networking opportunities, I think, is something that's super, super important. And while you may not make any monetary, might not get any financial, whatever it is from whatever interaction at that time, the compounding effect of generating, genuine relationships, not just generating relationships just because, making sure you can get along with other people, again, is what I think is also important, again, to just add on to your nugget as well.
Agreed.
Yeah. So last thing, where can people find you? They're like, oh my gosh, you guys talking about heat. This is such an awesome thing. Where should people get in contact if they want to talk with you, want to work with you, want to partner with you? What is the best way to do that?
Our website, very easy, heed.chat. That's it. So easy. Or you can look us up on LinkedIn. Yep. Our website's right there. Because once you're at our website, you just press the big button, get in touch, and that will book a meeting with one of the co-founders, and we'll walk you through, and it's very effortlessly.
Sweet. Well, awesome. Look, really appreciate this. Like I said, this is episode 1 of the Dispensary Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Kwan, founder of Cannabud Marketing. We have Brett and Igor, founders of Heed Chat. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me. So yeah, that's it.
Perfect.
Awesome. Okay.
Thanks, Brandon.
All right. No
Thanks
worries.
for having us, eh?
Thank you so much.
That was fun. I really enjoyed that. Like I said,
I like that.